Hey guys, it's Jack here, and today this is by far the luckiest race win I've had so far in Forza Motorsport. So if you've driven the Subaru, you know this car is just not fantastic. It's not particularly fast on the straights. It's not particularly fast in the corners. It does not have any advantage over any of the other cars. But there is one thing about this car that makes it different, which is this car is rear-wheel drive. Now, all the cars in the touring car hopper, besides this one, are front-wheel drive, and if you've driven them, you know the front tires wear out very, very quickly. But in the Subaru, that's not actually the case. The tires wear a little bit faster than the rear tires on some of the front-wheel drive cars, but the tire wear is pretty good, and you can actually get an extra lap on the medium tires before they really fall off. So I decided to try and see if I could take advantage of this. So I chose medium, and what my original plan at the start of this race was to use the soft tire compound hitting at the end of lap 6. So when I did qualifying, I was able to do 3 full laps with the tires, and I noticed that they were still green the whole time. They were looking good, staying below that 50% mark where you start to lose that lap time. So right here, we're just going to get a nice little sneaky little bit through. We got lucky a few times in this race. So my goal is to make it all the way to lap 6 and pit at the end of that lap. And you'll see how this comes later into the race, but for right now, we're just going to focus on this battle right ahead. So we are closing in. We have a nice little draft. End of lap 1, we already made it to P5, and we're already looking to take P4 into turn 1. So we're going to get on the brakes really, really aggressively here. And one thing to know, you are at Indianapolis right now. These curbs need to be abused. You can run these curbs like absolute crazy. You can really, really cut quite a bit of it before the track limits will come in and start giving you that time penalty. Now, I do overstep the boundaries a little bit later in the race, but we're going to focus on this battle in front of us for second and third here. I want this win. The Subaru is not that bad of a car. I got a good start. I really wanted this win, so I'm really starting to be aggressive now. So now we're really going to focus on closing into the cars in front. So I'm really taking some aggressive lines now, trying to really set up these corner exits and maximize as much straight line speed as I can, because this car really does not have too much. So we're going to try and poke up the inside a little bit, maybe see if we can force him into a mistake, but it's a pretty good line there. He leaves enough space for me kindly. So I'm going to try it around the outside, but no, we're not. We're actually going to try and sneak back up and get a good exit. We got the power down early, and we're just going to sit around the outside, but we're able to go full throttle a little bit sooner. Sometimes in that last corner, you will save more time lifting than trying to just power out of that understeer. If your car's pushing wide, it's not going to carry on accelerating as fast as you want. So sometimes it's better off lifting off that and keeping the car on that lowered line and trying to mash that throttle early. So right here, we get another good exit right on the outside. We can really cut these corners pretty finely. But right here, I make one of my first mistakes. I was too cautious. I kind of was being too nice there. I backed off too much, let him take the run, and now I'm a little bit frustrated with myself, and I'm getting a little bit impatient. I can see that the leader is starting to pull away, and I'm thinking in my head like, oh, this is a chance I could finally win a race in the Subaru. So I'm going to be too aggressive here. I'm really going to start being too aggressive, following him into these corners. I'm pushing as hard as I can. Want to make sure we can avoid a penalty, but right there, I make the mistake and get the first penalty. And I really try and cut the inside on there, but I kind of thought he would use a little bit more of the outside lane, try and track out a little bit more, but he kind of pinched it. I just didn't lift, and we made a little bit of contact, which is unfortunate, but we're still going. We're going to try and finish the move right around the inside. Little bit of contact, but these are touring cars. A little bit of contact is good. I take a very shallow entry, try and cut off that inside as early as I can, but it allows a very poor exit from me and a good exit from him where he's immediately on the inside. I was going to cover that off, but I didn't want to chop his nose again. I felt bad about making a little bit of contact, just a tiny bit. But we're going to keep fighting. So now he's going to take back the inside. I'm like, oh, I'm just losing too much time here. So got to focus on getting another good exit here, try and sweep back the inside. But he learned. I saw him holding that line a little bit better. I knew I couldn't cut in right away, but here we go. We got another good exit. And now we're just going to sweep down the inside. He drives it in a little bit too hard. He tries to get on that power early. When you overdrive the corner and try and get back on that power early in these front-wheel drive cars, you will just go slower. Focus on getting that car pointed. But now we're getting to the point where the Subaru has an advantage. Because the car has a little bit better tire wear, now we're going to be the fastest cars on track now. So anyone else in the Subaru running the rear-wheel drive, we're going to be able to just keep pulling and pulling further away from the cars we've already passed, and we're going to be able to make a lot of time on the cars in front. Inherently, this car will lose time to the others just because it is slower, but now for this lap, we should be the fastest car on the track. So we're going to go ahead and just constantly push now as hard as we can. So we're going to try and take a really deep line into this. And again, just making sure we get enough of that curb. We're going to sweep back out, try and coast through this corner. Then we're going to try and just tap the brake, lift and come through. And then we're going to just tap and lift again. Really, I see so many people lose a lot of time in that section of corners. So I really want to see people lifting a lot more through there and just letting the car coast and maintaining that speed and not just tapping and slamming the brakes like an on and off button to try and get through that corner. Your car will be able to get through. So right now you can see first and second, they've gone into the pits. I still got decent tires. I'm going to make another lap out of it. Plan is go to softs and maybe we can make up the ground at the end, but the weather's changing. Just as we cross the line, it starts to rain. Now, I'm going to give you guys the chance to really take note of how fast this goes from being a track that is meant for slick tires to a track that you absolutely must have wets on. So far in this lap, I'm still running for the most part, normal lines. I haven't changed my braking point really yet, and it really caught me off guard with how suddenly this track became completely wet. Because now, right here, this track is gone. If I took any of my normal lines, I am going to crash. So here I go, taking my normal line into this corner, and this car is just not stopping. So now I'm on very worn medium tires, and the rain is just absolutely coming down. So this might look like a bad scenario, but everyone else who had just pit missed their chance to switch to wet tires because the track was completely dry. Now it is full on monsoon. It is not even possible to tough it out in the mediums in these conditions. So every single car that had just pit on the previous lap now has to come in a second time. And you can see I am posting this thing through. I'm just trying to make sure I don't drive off the track in any way. I'm just going to come in for the pits, leave with my wet tires, and that's it. This race, as long as I don't make any more mistakes, this race is locked up. Every car that was in front of me lost 30 seconds. All I have to do is run as smooth as I can and finish out this race, and I'll have an easy win. So that's how, starting all the way in the back of the pack, we were able to use the one advantage that the Subaru does actually have to actually sneak a race win in the touring car hoppers. This is actually the only race I've won in this car. It is just diabolical. But as we finish up this last lap here, again, just be as smooth as you can when you're running in the rain. The best piece of advice I can give is just to drive the car as cautiously as possible, as fast as you can. Because if you overdrive the corners, you are going to lose far more time than any time you would have gained by getting back on the throttle earlier. Just with your gear shifts, with everything you're doing, really slow it down. And if you do that, you'll have nice, good racing lines, and you'll most likely pass a lot of the people who make mistakes. But with that, coming onto the front stretch, I just want to thank you guys for watching. I somehow managed to get the worst touring car in the game a win. Thank you guys for watching, and please, if you would, leave a like and subscribe. Hope you enjoyed the race.